Who is this inner goddess, and how do I know if I'm connected to her or not? This is Dr. Mary, and I've been getting a lot of questions lately from viewers about how to reconnect with and awaken your inner goddess. So in today's video, which will be the first in a series of about 7 videos where I talk about this topic, I want to discuss first, who is the inner goddess? How do you know if you're connected to her or not? And then in subsequent videos, how to really awaken and reconnect in with her, because she is you. So let's take a step back. So the question today comes from Jean. And Jean says that she feels like for a while she's been really disconnected from herself. She's been living on autopilot. She's been living her life based on somebody else's rules. And she just had this aha moment, this awakening, where she realized it didn't have to be that way. So that was me 3.5 years ago. I had an aha moment during a guided meditation where I realized that even though from the outside looking in, I had it all, I was absolutely miserable. I had the PhD, I had the success, I was at the pinnacle of my career, I was married, and yet, even though I looked like I had it all together, on the inside, I knew I was barely holding it together. And one day, it occurred to me during a guided meditation, the reason I felt that way was that I had become so disconnected from myself, from the truth of who I am, from my purpose in life. And I had been playing by somebody else's rules for so long that it really felt like I was living somebody else's life. I was going through the motions, which is exactly what Jean was describing to me the other day when I talked to her. So what does this look like? You know, I think for a lot of women in particular, men too, but a lot of women in particular, in a generation post-baby boomers, so these are tail end of the baby boomers, children of the baby boomers. You know, it was really the first generation where we were taught that we could do it all, we could be it all, we could have it all. Our generation was really the first that was able to dream of a day when we might see a black man as president, a woman as president, women and men of diversity holding positions of power in our world. But I think that well-meaning advice from parents who did not have the opportunities that we had got translated in our generation and future generations. So our children and our children's children, somehow that got translated into, if you're not doing it all, then somehow you're less than. You're not good enough unless you can hold all of these roles simultaneously of soccer mom, perfect wife, CEO, Martha Stewart, home award kind of person, look all together, put together, no mistakes, and do everything perfectly and make everybody happy, or somehow you're not good enough. So it's like we were born with a cape on our back, like a superhero cape on our back. It's like, here I am, world. I'm going to go conquer everything, and I'm going to save the world, and I'm going to do it with a smile on my face. And if I get exhausted, and if I totally wear myself down in the process, that's okay, because I'm Superwoman. But what I learned as I went throughout my 20s, 30s, and now 40s is that you can only wear that cape for so long before you completely lose track of who you are. And your body, your mind, something happens that shuts you down and brings you to your knees. So, are you connected in with your inner goddess? And who is this inner goddess? Or are you suffering from one of the signs of disconnect? So if you're like Jean, if you're like me several years ago, you may be feeling a sense of disconnect. And this can show up in a variety of ways. It could be feeling burned out, feeling stuck, like you're in a rut, like you're living somebody else's life. It might show up as a physical symptom. Maybe it's weight you just can't seem to get rid of. Maybe you're using food as a coping mechanism. Maybe your hormones are going haywire and you're having all kinds of issues that seem to be thyroid in nature, but there's nothing wrong with your thyroid. Maybe you keep injuring yourself. Maybe you keep getting sick. Maybe it's showing up in an emotional way. Maybe you're depressed, anxious, and you just can't ever seem to beat whatever it is that you're experiencing. It never seems to get better. So if any of those sound like you, you may be wearing a cape and not even realize you're wearing it, which has made you disconnected from yourself and disconnected from your life. So if you're feeling dissettled, discombobulated, like something is just not right, or you're looking at the person in the mirror and really just not connecting with that person or liking what you see there, that is a sign. So now what? So if one of those signs rings true for you, if you're really feeling disconnected from your soul's purpose, from yourself, from your life, if you're waking up thinking, God, did I shave my legs for this? Like, this is not what I thought life was going to be like. If that describes your current reality, know that those are all signs. So what I've learned in my 40 plus years on this planet is that universe will keep sending us signs and signals when we're on the wrong path. And they're going to get increasingly loud until we pay attention. So maybe it starts with a gentle nudge, a gentle whisper, a gentle knowing of, this doesn't feel right to me. And then, if you don't listen, which I didn't for the first 20-something years that universe was sending me signals, then it becomes increasingly louder. Then it becomes, in my case, you're on your deathbed dying of pneumonia at age 25 because you weren't paying attention to the signs. You were pushing and striving and going and wearing your cape and trying to be everything to everybody, and you took yourself out in the process. Or maybe it's severe depression that's gotten you to the point you can barely get out of bed, or a stroke, or anxiety, or an eating disorder. Whatever it may be, you'll know it's true for you if this is resonating with you. That is a sign. Universe is saying, wake up. You have got to stop doing what you're doing. It is time to take the cape off and reconnect in with your inner goddess, inner guidance system, intuition, inner diva, wisdom, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. It's just a moniker for the same thing. I call it the inner goddess. But it's that part of you that's connected directly to divine and knows what you're here to do and knows how you're meant to serve. And when you disconnect from that part of yourself and you're living your life like it was somebody else's life, you're playing by somebody else's rules, then that's when you start to get those signs that get increasingly louder, increasingly more severe, until you finally stop and pay attention. So the inner goddess, this inner part of you, your intuition, your inner sense of knowing, whatever you want to call it, is the part of you that knows you're not on the right path. And it's actually the part of you that can course correct and make sure you're on the right path. But first you have to reconnect in. It's Dr. Mary. I'll be back next week to talk about how to reconnect in, how to reawaken that inner goddess, that intuition, and connect in with what you're supposed to be doing, where you're supposed to be in life, and really fulfilling your soul's purpose. I'll chat with you soon.